Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This presentation has been prepared by Pushpesh Naik and will be delivered by Rosa. As a chartered professional engineer from Engineers Australia and with an MBA from UNSW, Sydney, he is eager to share insights into the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. The focus will be on the fundamental principles for making a positive first impression. How to Win Friends and Influence People, 1936, offers expert guidance on managing and interacting with people. From making a strong first impression to disagreeing effectively, it provides everything necessary to become skillful, pleasant, and confident in both personal and professional interactions. About the author. Dale Carnegie, 1888 to 1955, was an American speaker, author, and consultant in communication and motivation. During his lifetime, Dale Carnegie's professional training courses advanced the careers of nearly 500,000 individuals, and his books have sold over 15 million copies. What can you gain? Master the art of human relationships. Hello, I am Rosa, and I would like to guide you through one of the most renowned self-help books, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Since its publication in 1936, the advice remains remarkably relevant today. Enhancing one's ability to form friendships and increasing influence in the workplace is beneficial for everyone. Improving our relationships and communication skills is always valuable, and that is the purpose of this presentation. You will learn straightforward, actionable techniques to achieve success in any social situation. Dale Carnegie's book serves as the ultimate resource for fostering positive interactions and enjoying more rewarding relationships. Through a combination of engaging stories and practical advice, these presentation slides offer insights that have already enhanced the lives of millions. Let us proceed. The first key takeaway from How to Win Friends and Influence People is that praise is more effective than criticism. Praise is more effective than criticism. Consider Al Capone for a moment. Certain associations likely come to mind, such as organized crime, corruption, and illicit activities. Regardless of your knowledge about this infamous figure, it is unlikely that he is viewed as a philanthropist or public benefactor. Yet, Capone saw himself in such a light. In his own words, he spent the best years of his life providing others with enjoyment and entertainment, only to receive criticism and endure a life on the run. Despite his notorious reputation in Chicago, Capone genuinely believed he was a good person. What insights can we gain from this? Similar to Capone, individuals often perceive themselves as justified, irrespective of their actions. If self-criticism is challenging, it is even more difficult to receive criticism from others. The issue with criticism is that it can make individuals defensive. When told they are wrong, the natural response is to rationalize their behavior. Furthermore, criticism, even when well-intentioned, can lead to lingering resentment. So, how do we encourage positive change? While it is necessary to promote change occasionally, criticism may not be the most effective method. The solution lies in offering praise. People desire to feel valued and significant, and expressions of appreciation often yield better results than criticism. This approach was embraced by Charles Schwab, a successful leader in the steel industry. Schwab attributed his business success to his ability to manage people effectively. Unlike many in leadership positions, Schwab minimized criticism and focused on providing positive reinforcement. Through his extensive experience, Schwab demonstrated that encouragement and praise lead to greater achievements than criticism. Praise motivates individuals to perform better and fosters more positive relationships. Ensure that everyone you encounter feels valued and appreciated. Recognizing the significance of making others feel valued and appreciated can greatly enhance your interactions with them. Imagine this scenario: after a demanding day at work, you return home to be greeted by your enthusiastic puppy. Her wagging tail and excited jumps instantly uplift your mood. Dog owners understand the joy these pets bring, largely due to their ability to make us feel cherished. Dogs excel as companions because their affection is genuine and transparent. We can learn from this behavior to foster connections with similar ease. So, how do we translate this canine affection into human interactions? How can you convey goodwill to a new acquaintance and receive it in return? Initially, refrain from focusing on being interesting. This approach is often ineffective, as people are less concerned with others' lives than with their own. The key to forming a connection is to show genuine interest in others. Begin by expressing sincere delight when meeting someone. Smile warmly and greet them with enthusiasm. Make an effort to remember their name and incorporate it into your conversation. Demonstrate that you are pleased to be in their company, and continue to build on this foundation. To leave a lasting positive impression, it is essential to not only be personable but also to make others feel significant. This lesson was learned firsthand by a landscaping inspector who attended one of the author's seminars. By complimenting a client on his pedigree dogs, the inspector engaged in an extensive discussion about the client's passion for dog breeding. The inspector's respect and authentic interest fostered a strong professional relationship, ultimately resulting in the client gifting him an expensive purebred puppy. When you genuinely value others and their perspectives, unexpected and rewarding outcomes often follow. Encourage others to speak and listen attentively when they do. Next, encourage others to speak and listen attentively when they do. During the American Civil War, President Abraham Lincoln invited a former neighbor to the White House for counsel. Upon his arrival, Lincoln spent hours deliberating the emancipation of enslaved individuals in the South. Was it a prudent decision? Would the nation respond favorably? Lincoln deliberated throughout the evening, weighing the pros and cons of each potential action. Ultimately, without receiving any specific advice from his friend, he concluded the discussion, expressed his gratitude, and dismissed him. Lincoln did not require more advisors, he had plenty. What he sought was a listener. Like Lincoln, we all appreciate good listeners, yet they often seem scarce. We all enjoy discussing our own lives, achievements, concerns, past, and future, but this approach does not foster friendships. In fact, it can be off-putting. To make a positive first impression and endear yourself to others, take the opposite approach. Encourage others to share their experiences and interests, and listen actively. Interested in befriending a new colleague? Consider asking open-ended questions he might enjoy answering, such as his impressions of the new role or his hobbies. Remember to stay focused. Appearing distracted while others speak is counterproductive. Theodore Roosevelt understood that engaging others on topics they are passionate about is an effective way to build rapport. Before important meetings, Roosevelt would familiarize himself with subjects of interest to his guests. By doing so, he could engage in informed and enjoyable conversations about their hobbies and interests. This approach was successful for Roosevelt, but you need not go to such lengths. Simply share the spotlight, inquire, and listen closely. In time, encouraging others to open up will become second nature, and forming friendships will be effortless. If engaging in an unavoidable disagreement, strive to maintain a respectful tone. It is essential to remember that when an argument cannot be avoided, it is best to disagree respectfully. What is the best approach to resolving a disagreement? Is it by overwhelming your counterpart with complex arguments? Is it by asserting that your data and evidence are indisputably correct? Or by identifying a logical flaw in your counterpart's reasoning? None of these strategies are advisable. Winning an argument in such a manner may lead to resentment from your counterpart. Once resentment forms, it becomes unlikely that they will align with your perspective. When disagreements escalate into full-fledged arguments, there are no winners. If possible, it is prudent to avoid arguments altogether. However, there are instances when disagreements are unavoidable. In such cases, when presenting your perspective, consider a few key strategies. To persuade someone of your viewpoint, avoid bluntly stating that they are wrong. Such an approach is unlikely to persuade your counterpart. Instead, it may cause them to become defensive, reinforce their own beliefs, and attempt to disprove your point. A nuanced and respectful approach is typically more effective. Rather than attempting to assert your position forcefully, aim to guide your counterpart towards your conclusions through a collaborative and respectful dialogue. But how can one encourage cooperation from someone with differing views? Acknowledging the possibility of your own error can be effective. Consider saying something like, "It is possible that I might be mistaken, let's examine the facts together." This approach can often diffuse a resistant counterpart. Should it become apparent that you are indeed mistaken, graciously acknowledge the mistake and be the first to admit it. Proactively owning your errors often encourages others to adopt a more conciliatory approach. Conversely, if you are right, refrain from celebrating. An opponent is less likely to reconsider their stance if it feels like a defeat. In this segment, we will explore how to effectively convey your perspective to others. Encourage others to concur with your perspective from the outset, and then guide them towards your conclusions with subtlety. Encourage others to concur with your perspective from the outset and then guide them towards your conclusions with subtlety. Socrates, the esteemed ancient Greek philosopher, mastered the art of persuasion. By crafting his inquiries thoughtfully, he led people to accept notions they had not previously considered. How did he achieve this? He ensured that his audience was in an affirmative mindset. He cultivated a habit of agreement. But how was this accomplished? He commenced discussions with universally accepted statements, gradually steering the dialogue into more contentious areas. By emphasizing common ground initially, he increased the likelihood of acceptance for the more controversial points that followed. What insights can we gain from Socrates? His persuasive approach is worthy of emulation. Securing agreement from the onset significantly enhances the chances of persuading others. Conversely, a negative response is to be avoided. When an individual dismisses a point, altering their stance becomes challenging. People often become emotionally committed to their publicly declared opinions. This is due to the concern for their intellectual reputation and judgment. Furthermore, individuals tend to favor ideas they conceive themselves over those proposed by others. Presenting our own ideas fosters a sense of unity and independence. Accepting external ideas may sometimes feel directive. How can this knowledge be applied? Rather than attempting to assert the superiority of your ideas, assist others in reaching those conclusions independently. By fostering an affirmative mindset and posing questions that guide them appropriately, you can often lead others to your conclusions autonomously. This strategy was employed by Colonel Edward M. House during Woodrow Wilson's presidency. Instead of offering explicit advice, House subtly introduced his proposals in conversation. Gradually, the ideas took hold in Wilson's mind, to the extent that he believed them to be his own. Did House correct him? Certainly not. He recognized that individuals prefer their own ideas to those of others. Consider others' perspectives. Understanding others' viewpoints is crucial for effective communication and collaboration. J. Mangum faced a challenging situation. As a representative of an elevator maintenance company, he needed to coordinate repairs at a hotel. The task required a full day, but the hotel manager preferred limiting the elevator downtime to just 2 hours. How did Jay handle this? Instead of insisting on the need for more time, he took a moment to comprehend the manager's perspective. Jay acknowledged the manager's aim to maintain guest satisfaction. He communicated that while the manager's concerns were valid, postponing the necessary repairs could lead to more extensive work later. Consequently, the manager consented to the 8-hour shutdown. Jay successfully persuaded the manager by addressing his core concerns, recognizing that the manager's primary goal was guest satisfaction. By doing so, he illustrated the potential long-term inconvenience of delaying repairs. Viewing a situation from another's perspective is highly advantageous. This approach not only assists in resolving complex situations like Jay's, but also fosters goodwill and positive relationships. People generally value empathy. In tense situations, a simple empathetic expression can often diffuse conflict. At times, a dissatisfied customer or a distressed friend merely needs to hear, "I completely understand your position. In your shoes, I would feel the same." Empathizing enhances not only others' well-being but also your own ability to manage frustration and impatience. By appreciating the reasons behind others' actions, you cultivate tolerance for behaviors that might otherwise provoke you. When someone's actions distress you, pause to consider their perspective. Why might your colleague be underperforming? Is there a compassionate or supportive gesture you can offer to assist him in regaining focus? While offering empathy can be challenging, it is generally more constructive than responding with anger. As we conclude, remember that setting high standards encourages others to aspire to meet them. Set high expectations, and individuals will strive to meet them. Ruth Hopkins, an experienced fourth-grade teacher from Brooklyn, New York, faced an unexpected challenge on the first day of school. She was assigned a new class and noticed that Tommy, known for his disruptive behavior, was among her students. Although intelligent, Tommy had been disobedient in the past, leading to complaints from his previous teacher. Fortunately, Ruth had a strategy. On the first day, Ruth complimented each student. When she approached Tommy, she acknowledged his potential as a natural leader. She expressed her reliance on him to help make her class the most outstanding among the fourth graders that year. With such expectations, Tommy's behavior improved significantly. He became a diligent student, and Ruth proved to be an effective teacher. Humans appreciate praise and are motivated not to disappoint those who believe in them. By commending an individual's reputation, we can leverage these tendencies. Our positive words reward past actions and set a high standard for future conduct. If you wish someone to develop a specific trait, speak as if they already possess it. If you desire your child to be more generous, commend her for sharing with others and cultivate an image of her as a generous child. Dr. Martin Fitzhugh, a dentist, applied this principle when he observed a decline in his office cleaners standards. A patient had noted that the dentist's metal cup holder was not clean, which reflected poorly on Dr. Fitzhugh's professionalism. Instead of criticizing, he wrote a gracious and appreciative note acknowledging her hard work and diligence. He also mentioned the possibility of extra pay if she occasionally needed more time for tasks like the cup holder. The outcome? The cleaner's performance improved significantly, and she never required overtime. Praising others and expressing appreciation for their work is not only generous but also an effective way to ensure continued high performance. By adopting this habit and integrating it with the other strategies in this presentation, you will have a smoother experience building new friendships and enhancing existing relationships. Thank you for engaging with our discussion on How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Conclusion. Final summary. In conclusion, achieving true influence requires understanding the perspectives of those around you. People appreciate being heard, understood, and valued. By fostering these feelings in others, you will garner favor. Allow me to offer one final piece of advice. Introduce a challenge. If you find it difficult to motivate employees, consider tapping into their inherent sense of competition. Evaluate employee performance and acknowledge top performers publicly. Often, a prize is unnecessary. A healthy sense of competition can effectively energize a workforce. Thank you for attending our presentation on how to win friends and influence people.